So we are doing our lesson on characterization, and you have gone through and you have found examples of characterization in the text. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first paragraph. And you have looked at Cook, and you have looked at the narrator. And our goal is to find 5 characteristics of both of them, and then to explain why you think that. So raising your hand, what is one example of either Cook or the narrator in this paragraph? Excellent. He had a long but friendly face, and so the trait is that he is friendly, and that it actually says he's friendly, so your reasoning is perfect. That is a perfect trait that you have there. This is an example of direct characterization. That's where the author just comes out and says, hey, this is what the person is like. So that's a great example. Okay, another one. Okay. That quote does support friendly. The thing to remember is the quote that the other group used was direct characterization, but the quote that you chose was indirect characterization, okay? Because it doesn't say friendly, but you're right. It does mean friendly. You just chose an indirect versus a direct, okay? But it is a very good quote, okay? All right, who's got another example? Does anybody have any examples in paragraphs 42 through 44? Okay. Okay, that's a good quote. So it's absolutely hopeless. The one thing to look at here is hopeless is describing it. And he's talking about here fighting the war. So this does say something about David Cook. But I'm not sure hopeless is the word that you want to use, simply because as direct characterization, it's not talking about David Cook, it's talking about the war. So someone who believes that he's fighting a war that is hopeless, what kind of person is that? So that is definitely for Cook, that he is brave, because he knows that it's a hopeless situation, but he's in the military, he's in the Air Force, and his country needs him to be there. And so even though he knows it's hopeless, he's going to go and he's going to fight this fight anyway. And someone who is brave will do that. So that was a great example. We just want to make sure that it's the person that's characterized, not the war. All right, excellent. Who's got another one? All right, so clueless, excellent use right there. Reasoning, he's never been in action, but he's coming into war, and the tone of this is definitely more upbeat. So this is an excellent example of him being clueless, since he's never been in action before. Okay, in paragraphs 45 through 50, does anyone have anything in paragraphs 49 through 50? That's a really good part. When you do characterization, you want to maybe narrow it down a little bit to like a specific phrase or just one sentence. So looking at what you just told me, is there something in that sentence that you can narrow down to a trait? Okay, so you said shocked.
As in he's like baffled because
All right, the reason that you said shocked is that he didn't see or hear that. Now here's the thing that we want to look at with shocked. Is shocked an action, or is shocked an actual personality trait? It's an action, which means it's not a characteristic, because characteristics are only personality traits. But we can take this and take it a step further. So someone who is shocked, what kind of person would be shocked when they saw a ghost? Spooked is another verb. When you are looking for the personality traits, you've got the verbs down, but ask yourself, why is he shocked? Because he's superstitious. Superstitious would be your trait. Okay, so you think David Cook is superstitious because he's acting shocked when he thinks that he sees a ghost. Okay, Good. Is there another example in this paragraph? Let's read it together because this has dialogue in it. And remember from our notes yesterday that dialogue often has a lot of characterization in it. So picking up at the beginning of 45, David Cook stared at me as though he was seeing a ghost. He could hardly have looked more startled if I had suddenly announced that I had never been in an airplane before. Now here's the problem that we have. We're saying that he's superstitious because of the sentence about seeing as a ghost, but this sentence right here, he was startled because I had announced that I had never been in an airplane before. So I'm not sure in terms of being superstitious that is a really strong example. You could argue it, but because of that next line, it's one of those maybe things you want to be careful about. This is why it's important to take the context. And when you gave me the example, you actually said both sentences, which is good, but just remember to look at the whole part before you label it a characteristic, okay? You don't mean to say, he gasped, that you've come out to this place of all places with absolutely no experience whatsoever. Remember when we did our shadow story on Friday, what did I say about the tagline and the verbs there? What do they tell you? They tell you about your character, okay? So he's gasping. The narrator has said this, and he goes, so he's gasping. What kind of person would gasp? Because he's gasping, and then he says, you don't mean to say that you've come here. Supportive is a very good trait. And why would you say supportive? It's a very good one, but why do you say he's definitely supportive? Because then it goes on to say that he's going to help him. So excellent.